In a small apartment in Hamburg, Germany, a group of Scandinavian guys were throwing a wild party. Things got crazy when juice from a can of Surströmming sprayed everywhere. Just as the party was in full swing, the landlord knocked. The landlady, an older woman, demanded, "Pack your things and get out, right now." One of the guys, feeling pretty innocent, started to send his friends off. But before he could finish, the landlady added, "You, and yes, you too, both need to leave." The guy had no choice but to pack up and go. The next day, he decided to take the landlady to court. His case was simple. They had a valid rental agreement, and she couldn't just throw him out for no reason. He argued that she should face legal consequences. The landlady's defense was just as straightforward. "You sprayed Surströmming juice all over my apartment. The smell is unbearable. It's like using biochemical weapons to destroy my house. You broke the lease first, not me." So, how did the judge rule in this bizarre case? Well, before we get into that, let's talk about just how bad Surströmming smells. All around the world, the internet is filled with memes of people attempting the infamous Surströmming challenge. Confident challengers quickly turn into defeated souls in just seconds. Opening a can of Surströmming is like unleashing a biological weapon. If you're opening Surströmming for the first time, make sure you do it outside. Mentally prepare yourself and keep others far away. Ideally, open it in a basin of lightly salted water. If by chance you open it in a closed space, well, good luck to you. Now, imagine opening a can on a plane. What a disaster that would be. While I haven't found anyone brave enough to do this, I did find a related story. In 2006, British Airways and Air France suddenly banned Surströmming, classifying it as a high-risk item, on the same level as explosives and firearms. It was strictly forbidden in both carry-ons and checked luggage. Stockholm's airport even stopped selling it, though they didn't give a clear reason. Surströmming lovers were outraged. Soon after, an anonymous flight attendant shared a story online. On one flight, someone's can of Surströmming burst open, and the entire cabin immediately smelled like a fish market. Passengers started complaining, and as a flight attendant, she had to keep smiling and calmly explain the situation to every single customer despite the chaos. She ended her post by saying, "If my daughter ever says she wants to be a flight attendant, I have 3 words: I'll break her legs." Eventually, the airlines gave a more elegant explanation. Surströmming posed a risk of explosion. Not long after, many airlines around the world adopted the same rules. Surströmming fans kept protesting, asking, "If you're worried about explosions, why not ban French champagne first?" In 2002, Japan's NHK TV aired a show where they used an odor detector to measure the world's most pungent foods. First, they set a baseline by testing smelly socks, which came in at 120 AU. Then, they tested Southeast Asian fish sauce at 390 AU, Chinese stinky tofu at 420 AU, and Japan's natto at 452 AU. When New Zealand cheese was tested, it hit 1,870 AU. And most of the testers couldn't handle it anymore. But the experiment continued, and the stink levels kept rising. Finally, the world's smelliest food was revealed: Sweden's Surströmming. It reached an astonishing 8,070 AU. It said that if you travel to Changsha, China, you can find the best stinky tofu just by following the smell. But Surströmming is said to be 20 times stronger. Now, back to our courtroom story. Was the tenant kicked out unfairly, or was the angry landlady justified? The legal records show that the case dragged on from Christmas 1981 until January 12, 1984. On that day, the landlady's lawyer opened a can of Surströmming in court. The judge immediately ruled in the landlady's favor, declaring her eviction legal and justified. That's how Surströmming became known as the only legal biological weapon. Now, let's dive into why Surströmming smells so awful. Imagine arriving in the small Swedish town of Surströmming, with just 2,300 residents. Despite its size, this town is home to one of the world's most famous Surströmming factories, the birthplace of the notorious biological weapon that has humbled many internet challengers. The factory follows the most traditional production methods. As the factory master puts it, a good product must move the soul. After the herring is caught in April or May, it's immediately sent to the factory for fermentation. By Swedish royal decree, the process continues until the 3rd Thursday of August. No extra cooking is needed. Only 3 stages of natural fermentation, courtesy of Mother Nature, are used to create a dish that's said to touch the soul. This process is known as 1 cut, 2 washes, and 3 fermentations. The freshly caught herring is first fermented in a strong saltwater solution. The temperature must be kept precisely at 4 degrees Celsius, not a degree higher or lower. Cold Swedish spring water is constantly poured into the barrels, rinsing the fish and stirring the tank, which drains out from the bottom of the barrel. You can imagine the smell. Good thing we're only experiencing it through a screen. This process starts with the first wash and first fermentation. After that comes the one cut and second wash. When the herring reaches the production line, workers skillfully use a single cut to remove the head, guts, and intestines. This one-cut technique, invented by Dutchman Willem Bijkelzoon in 1385, helped the small nation of the Netherlands gain its first fortune, propelling them to global dominance. 44 years later, the famous Herring Wars broke out between England and France over just a few barrels of the Dutch delicacy, with the French suffering a major defeat. It was after this event that Joan of Arc famously rose to prominence. Of course, the one-cut technique is now handled by machines in the factory. During the second wash, the assembly line rinses away any remaining organs from the herring. Meanwhile, workers manually sort through the fish, selecting only the pieces that are the right size and fully fermented. Any herring that doesn't meet the standard is discarded. The second fermentation then takes place in large blue barrels filled with mild brine, kept at 15-20 degrees Celsius. During this stage, a certain anaerobic bacteria quickly multiplies, turning the fish into a sticky mix of peptides and amino acids, while releasing gases like carbon dioxide, acetic acid, butyric acid, and hydrogen sulfide. And so the infamous soul-stirring delicacy is born. After 3 to 4 months of fermentation, the third Thursday in August finally arrives, a day of great importance. At this point, the fermented herring has reached the perfect level of stickiness. It's sent back to the production line, where workers, using nothing but their sense of touch, carefully pack each piece into cans. On this day, the factory master continuously tastes the herring, as his palate is the ultimate measure of quality. Once the cans are sealed, they go straight to packaging. No sterilization, no pasteurization. These potent delicacies still rely on hydrogen bromide bacteria for their third and final round of natural fermentation, which continues inside the can until the moment you open it. If you receive a slightly swollen can, congratulations, you've got a top-tier one. That little bulge indicates that the third fermentation was a complete success. And when you open it, expect a burst of intense juices. This is why Surströmming has its notorious smell. It's the result of the one cut, 2 washes, and 3 fermentations method, an age-old process, unchanged over time. No sterilization, no pasteurization. From a tiny town in Sweden to tables worldwide, this delicacy is crafted to capture and overwhelm your senses, leaving even the bravest contenders in shock after just one bite.